MiSide is a game that on the surface looks unassuming. And you might not even know it's a psychological horror, and even then you might assume it's a fairly generic one, and I thought so too when I was first introduced to it. But I found something I very much was not expecting. This is not the kind of game I normally play. I very much have normie, even if rather picky tastes. So games like this normally fly completely under my radar. But I have a friend that absolutely loves these sorts of games, and they show them to me time to time, and some of them are absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to start a series of videos for these exact kind of games, the one that my one friend always recommends to me. And I'm going to call this series, My Friend Recommends. I think I'm going to trademark that idea. It's completely original, and no one will ever thought about it before. There will often be dark and often bizarre games just like this one. Anyway, back to MiSide. As I hinted before, I watched my friend play this. At first, I thought it was going to be a super generic psychological horror where you're stuck in a room that seems sweet at first, and then it just gets more creepy over time. And while that is here, MiSide actually does some really fun things with that concept and evolves past it. There is an actual story here to get invested in. I was impressed with just how much was actually going on. Now, it isn't exactly deep or sophisticated, but we've both found it quite compelling. To put it simply, it was embracing its premise and doing some really neat things with it. It starts off with a seemingly lonely guy who's playing a cozy game with a cute video game girl, and somehow he eventually finds himself in her world. I mean, this is to be expected for a game like this. And when he meets her, she's of course extremely cheerful and affectionate. Almost too much so. But are things what they seem to be? No, of course not. Completely normal type of psychological horror setup. You've probably seen a dozen games with a very similar kind of intro, and it doesn't take a genius to see where it's going to be going. It's obvious that everything that seems cute at first is actually a horrible nightmare. And it won't be long until anytime you see something cute, you're supposed to see it as terrifying. And while that is present, this game has its moments of genuinely letting you relax and enjoy it for a while, which I found very unusual. With these types of games, it always feels like they want to subvert everything and keep you on edge constantly. But this game doesn't always want you to be terrified of everything, though it certainly has its surprises and will keep you on edge. Speaking of which, scattered throughout the game are these little arcade machines that have surprisingly fun little minigames. And while this is something we have seen a million times before, there's something special about them. They're all extremely simple, but rather well thought out. And while this is very much a subjective thing, they're just so much fun to play, as simple as they are. Moving back to the story, without spoiling too much, I have to say I was rather blown away by it. I found it very compelling and charming. It takes the psychological horror trope, it does some neat things with it, subverting it in some places but embracing it in others. And to my surprise, there are fleshed out characters, and not all of them want to kill you. Which, from what I've seen from this genre, that's pretty rare. This game takes you on a journey where you can ponder its subtext and themes. And that's where a lot of fun comes from a game like this, speculating about what different components might mean, how everything fits together, what it's trying to say, and so on. Though it is much more straightforward than you might expect. Though there's still lots of unanswered questions that will keep your imagination going throughout the entire game. Or you can ignore all that and enjoy the game on a more surface level. This game has a unique ability of maintaining many different aspects simultaneously. If you like dark psychological horror, you'll find a lot to enjoy. If you like games with a compelling story that unfolds itself as you go along, it certainly has that. Or if you want a game to relax a bit into and find some interesting stuff, there'll be a lot for you too. It managed to balance so many different aspects without feeling overstuffed or underdeveloped. It all flows into each other to create a rather unique experience that will pretty much give you what you want out of it for the most part. When I was watching my friend play it, I was absolutely shocked to find I actually was caring about what was going on. So yeah, it really surprised me. If you're looking for something a little different, I recommend you give it a try. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.